Welcome to Global Currents, coming to you from the WASC Center for Dialogue in Vancouver. This documentary series presents challenging ideas and fresh approaches to issues in Canada. Hello, I'm Kevin Newman. Each week, our independent documentary film partners are bringing us stories that stir dialogue, and they're always a great match for this room of debate. As governments squeeze education spending, corporations are increasingly filling the void, giving generously in return for new marketing opportunities. It's more than simply providing vending machines and team uniforms. Some businesses are finding ways to influence what children are taught. Critics say it's all aimed at teaching them to be good consumers before they're taught how to be good citizens. Here's filmmaker Jill Sharp with Corporations in the Classroom.
Today, the volunteers from the local Home Depot have arrived at this school in Kitchener, Ontario, to build a playground.
Home Depot has given our school some money so that they are going to help build us a playground.
The deal is the schools raise 1/3 of the costs, $10,000, and Home Depot provides the rest in materials and volunteer labor. And everybody gets to feel really good about it.
We at Home Depot believe in volunteerism, and we believe in giving back to our communities, and it's just part of our DNA.
So 250 adults, role models for the kids, get to pat themselves on the back after a hard day's work. The school saves money and gets a playground. And Home Depot? What Home Depot gets is access to the fastest growing market in Canada, our children.
How many of you have been to Home Depot? Absolutely wonderful. Point the direction that Home Depot is.
The U.S. head office of the hardware giant Home Depot has committed to building 1,000 playgrounds in 1,000 days all over North America. This is more than a playground. It's a strategy. What corporate America has done in the last few years is target education. It's become a specific marketing ploy. And where schools need extra cash or equipment, there's a company somewhere willing to help out.
And some of the older schools, of course, have playgrounds, and you never think to ask, like, how long has that playground been here? Who paid for it? When was it built? When was it designed? Sometimes we just don't stop and think about those things. But in this case, we didn't have one, and we had to come up with it on our own.
I think it's an excellent win-win situation. I don't think any money is wasted by Home Depot at all for this. I think they will get it back probably 100-fold. Obviously, we as a school community win huge, and they as a company may get a few extra customers.
A few extra customers and a lot of corporate identity. This is not just random big business charity. Getting into schools is a huge part of current advertising and marketing policy. They're spending about $2 billion a year, targeted right here in the public school. And no opportunity is missed. And it's not just about bathroom advertising or playgrounds. In Canada and the US, public schools have been setting up foundations to attract additional funding. Here in Newburyport, Massachusetts, they need a lot more than swing sets. What the schools around here have done is rely on people with marketing expertise. Experts whose job, specifically, is to bring in some big cash for everything from gyms to science labs. In Newburyport, Christine Walsh is selling naming rights.
The naming rights idea came about because the high school was being renovated and there was an opportunity to get some revenue income, and I believe the idea came from what colleges do and what private schools do.
With the right amount of cash, a company can put its name on a plaque on the wall, and there are other opportunities.
This is our library. We're going to go ahead and sneak in quietly. I believe it was $3,000 for the reading room. The library is still for sale for $100,000. to make a bid, make an offer, and name a seat. $5,000. I believe it was $10,000. $600,000. The new Knock Middle School Science Labs.
You can't have the floor of the gym. They've already sold that to a bank in exchange for a science lab.
These are the logos for the Institution for Savings. This is the gymnasium at the high school that has been newly renovated, and that the naming rights have been given to the Institution for Savings for their donation.
Mark Welch is the bank president who put up the money to have kids run all over his name.
We're in a hotbed for science and biotech in the greater Boston area, and here 30 miles north we've got these science labs that look like they came out of the Soviet Union. It was awful. The bank has been around since 1820. We're the second oldest mutual savings bank in the United States. We've got a terrific commitment to the community.
The donation was made, says Mr. Welch, with the best of intentions. The naming rights were simply a sweetener to the deal.
I'm a little embarrassed by the naming opportunities. We didn't do it for the naming opportunities. They were there and we took them. But we became aware that they were there after we made the donation. So it was, you know, it was the cart chasing the horse to some degree. I mean, we're a little tiny savings bank in Newburyport, Massachusetts, so we're not going to be able to fix the microscopes for the kids in the Midwest and so on. But we know that it's a national problem. I think it gets solved one city at a time and one school at a time.
So the fact that not all schools are in the lucky position that we are, I feel bad for that. I wish there was some way that we could all get to this point.
Is this a bad idea? To put corporations in charge of which types of schools will get new floors, extra wings, big gymnasiums, you know, huge teleconferencing labs. Is that their role in society?
Our principal just announced that the Institution for Savings gave my school $600,000 for the improvement of our science labs. I don't really like science, but I will probably want to do experiments.
There's an inherently disequalizing quality to these partnership activities. It really says that every school can't be good, every school can't serve its children well, but those smaller number of schools that happen to have active philanthropists, those schools, they can be good. As long as the sponsors, of course, are given proper recognition.
And recognition, after all, is what it's all about. It's called product placement.
This is a math textbook. It's an M&M's textbook where you learn to count. And we got this from a grade 1 teacher whose daughter brought it home. They were given this in school. And it's quite lovely because what you do at the beginning of the book is you open up your bag of freshly purchased M&Ms, you drop them on the countertop, and now you're ready to learn how to count rules.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. There's no question.
This is a kit for kindergarten. Dr. Rabbit and the Legend of the Tooth Kingdoms, with a teacher's guide and a video and posters again, and storybooks, and 35 samples of Colgate toothpaste, these little ones. Colgate is just everywhere. I mean, Colgate's logo is in this case actually on what the students get. And so getting teachers to do your marketing for you is, I guess it's a good deal if you can pull it off, right? But this one makes me, as a teacher, this one would make me very uncomfortable.
Candies and toothpaste are being welcomed into schools all over North America because schools need money. And parents are willing to get into some uncomfortable positions to find it. In the backcountry of Oregon, the community of Long Tom Grange hasn't escaped the government cuts to public education.
Our schools were literally falling apart. The home ec department had closed down, and then the shop closed down. And then we lost our media specialist, which is a high-tech name for a librarian that handles all the research projects in the school. Then we lost our drama department. And of course, we lost arts and music long time ago. So what did we have left? We didn't even have math books.
The teachers and parents in this part of Oregon had tried the traditional methods of fundraising, but they had run dry.
And we couldn't sell enough cookies and enough buns at bake sales to raise anywhere near the kind of money to supplement what was going on in the schools.
And so to raise money, Danuta Plyfer approached the local community of conservative farming people and made an outrageous suggestion.
Birthday baby a kid.
When I first brought it up, they laughed me out of the room. Really. I was standing there in the Grange Hall, and I said, you know, I think we really could raise some money here. It will raise eyebrows, and that's what's going to raise money. Well, they thought I had lost my mind.
On the count of 3, all right, gentlemen, I want you to take your towels in your left hand, or whatever hand you got them in, and then I want you to let them go. All right.
What she was proposing was hardly original. After all, nude calendars of young women and beefy firefighters were quite common.
Where's the beef? All right.
The twist here was in getting a bunch of conservative old farmers to drop them for education. And it sent the community of Long Tom into a bit of a spin.
Boy, the quilters really took sides, too. I mean, Mrs. August walked in the room and everybody stopped talking. Some people turned their backs on Mrs. August. You know, so it became a real delicate, tense, emotional, risky thing to do for this community. And still, nobody had seen a calendar yet.
But at the end of the day, the quilters were defeated. And the farmers shed their inhibitions and their overalls and made a political statement about school funding.
One of our state senators had to actually take the calendar, open it up, and show it to our state legislators and say, look what people have to do. They're dropping their drawers to raise money for schools. Isn't that shame on us?
The calendar is still for sale, and so far has raised $250,000 for the grandchildren of the naked farmers and citizens of Long Tom Grange. Across Canada and the United States, fundraising like this has become the norm, and school boards are turning to wherever they can for cash. And there is no lack of marketing opportunity. For in a world of getting your message out, this is more than a school bus. It's a radio station. An hour outside of Boston, the neighboring communities of Monson and Palmer have each been approached by a new marketing concept called bus radio. And both school administrators are considering it seriously.
I received this pamphlet in the mail. Bus radio, free to all schools, and it's basically talking about, it's a bus safety program, is what they make the pitch here.
Without a doubt, as dollars for education, I think, have become more limited, school systems has forced to look for partnerships, and partnerships come with commercials and commercialization.
I think it's the revenue that's really raised our eyebrows more than the safety. I don't think that, in this district, we don't feel that we have a safety problem on our buses, nor a behavior problem.
I wish education was funded at a level where we wouldn't have to do those things.
The revenue estimate for our size was approximately $5,000 for this particular year.
Bus radio guarantees advertisers a captive audience on their way to and from the classroom. And they're using the schools of Massachusetts as a pilot project. It's a tempting decision for cash-strapped school administrators.
I always say that superintendents are always sticking their necks out, and I've always said that giraffes are the one animal that can see the forest for the trees. So I think that's good guidelines for superintendents or administrators who are faced with tough decisions.
In Monson, these long-neck decisions seem to be crying out for a guillotine. And the parents of the community were already sharpening the blade.
We have questions, and why hasn't the school committee held, public hearings on this, and why hasn't there been more information home? Why wasn't a survey sent home to parents? Is this something you would like? Is this something you wouldn't like?
Oh, elbow!
As I look further into it, I saw there's essentially no benefit for our school district. We're placing our children who are a captive audience on a public school bus that our tax dollars have paid for at the hands of an advertising company, essentially a marketing firm that wants to make profit.
The advertisers are hoping that kids will actually listen to the radio on the bus. The kids might have other ideas.
Some kids like to read. Most kids actually like to socialize, so like with their friends. And some kids, believe it or not, actually do their homework on the bus.
I'd rather listen to the radio in the car than on the bus. I usually just talk to my friends, and I usually bring some of my rock collection on, and people look at them.
In Boston, where they know a thing or two about starting revolutions, the bus radio concept was not exactly welcomed. Parents and academics took to the streets in protest.
Oh, yeah, she was an apple.
He'll be going to kindergarten next year, and he'll be riding a school bus. So the thought of bus radio makes me really unhappy.
You know, they're a captive audience, and it's commercial radio. Imagine that.
Hey, hey. Ho, ho. We're turning off bus radio. Hey, hey.
We'll need legislation as well, you know. In Quebec, you can't advertise to kids under 13.
It's opening a hornet's nest in terms of schools making available to marketers children.
It seemed everybody in Massachusetts was getting angry about school board decisions to buy into the notion of advertising on school buses.
We put together a petition and had many community members, I think a couple of hundred, sign these letters to the school committee.
In Monson, the parental disapproval and petitions changed the mind of the school administrators, and they finally said no to bus radio. But in Palmer, with money even tighter, the administrators are hoping to go ahead and get $5,000 in exchange for morning broadcasts, like this one.
Bus Radio. That's Sox tickets at busradio.com. We'll choose a name at random, and if you're the winner, we'll give a pair of tickets to your bus driver, too. You guys can hang out together, maybe share a large Coke.
Ball fair over third and down the line.
Email us as soon as you get home. Sox tickets at busradio.com.
As bus radio expands into 4 states, they may soon head north. But that's not all the corporations have in mind for enhancing public education. If you think they're watching too much TV at home, just imagine 7 million kids forced to watch commercial messages on school TV as part of the morning class. In this inner-city school, for the last 19 years, generations of children have started their class with 10 minutes of television news and 2 minutes of hard commercials, brought to 7 million kids every day in America by Channel 1.
We're probably going to get 42-inch plasmas. We're going to get EDTVs instead of HDTVs. We don't have the signal yet. But we're going to mount one over there, up on that wall, so you can see it from the 4th floor. And then we're going to mount one over up here on the concrete, so you can see it from the 5th floor. You know, having this is great because we're going to have scrolling announcements. We're going to have, we'll be able to keep Channel 1 on all day out here.
Today on Channel 1, a look at the new...
The good folks at Channel 1 will provide free television sets to every classroom. And all they want in exchange is that the kids watch 12 minutes a day.
Hey guys, welcome to Channel 1. I'm Alexander Marquardt. It's almost the weekend, but before then, we've got a great show for you. Mika Nichols is at the White House with the story.
The president has signed a bill that he says could keep some illegal immigrants out of the U.S.
We thought about it as a faculty, and we decided that the exchange for the equipment, for the chance to see a quality program targeting young people, in exchange for showing a few commercials, which many of the students would see anyway, was not a trade-off that we couldn't live with.
But it was a trade that one man in Alabama decided he couldn't live with. Jim Metrock, who describes himself as an old-fashioned capitalist, has now retired from his family steel business. He now spends his days battling the growth of what he sees as wolves in the classroom. For 10 years, Metrock has become the shepherd in the campaign against Channel 1.
We live in a real world. Give whatever you're going to give to the school. Let them put your name in the newsletter or let them put a name on a plaque. That's fine.
just don't mess up the curriculum. Don't take time away from school children like Channel 1 does. Don't make these kids listen to your forced advertising. You know, that's a lost instructional week of school a year if they watch Channel 1.
In California, a wildfire in the weather
Much of this commercial use of schools is all about is it's a form of indentured servitude.
and touching off fires across
They loan a needy school equipment, which they can never own.
Gatorade presents the play of the week.
And then it is paid off. It is worked off, not by the superintendent who approves the contract, and not by the school board or the teachers, but by the kids. They have to watch this show 12 minutes a day and exchange something of economic value, their attention,
We want your best.
just to be able to pay the debt.
4455.
And the kids lose a week's worth of school a year. These kids' rights are being abused simply because a company has something and they dangle it in front of a needy school system. I think that's terrible.
We're in some ways in such a crisis in public education that anything you can get. I mean, if you're not sacrificing your mission and who you are, and you're able to create these partnerships, then, you know, I'm willing to consider anything, because it's that important to make sure that these students get what they need.
When I started this, Channel 1 was talking about being the next MTV. They had plans for Channel 1 movies. It would be a Channel 1 brand, Channel 1 clothing. They wanted to resonate in the malls of America. And basically, we ruined their brand. And they spent a lot of money trying to create a brand, and we undid it. This is probably the most visited site on my website. That here are some examples of what your child, if they graduated in 2006, as they've seen in middle school and high school. We have Dude, Where's My Car, which was a stoner movie, a movie that normalized drugs. Channel 1 had a big ad campaign for that. Here's a man in a bathtub with two women selling a Sims game that a lot of parents might have a problem with. They will sell an anchor position to somebody who wants to plug their latest movie, CD, or TV show. I think it is an abomination of what what a news show should be about.
You've probably
Alex Molnar heads up a research institute examining the commercialization of public education.
Of the 42 or so million American school children in public schools, about 35 million, give or take, are regularly subjected to commercial message in some systematic way in the schools that they attend.
In talks like this, across the continent, the responses from people in his audience are remarkably consistent.
I wanted to introduce myself and thank you. I'm a parent in Lunenburg, Massachusetts. We have Channel 1 in our middle school, and I'm all worked up after your presentation. And I wanted to thank you for explaining to me why when I told our principal that my daughter would be getting up and leaving the Channel 1 broadcast, he responded with, well, your daughter also has the right to get up and leave during the pledge. And I was flabbergasted by that. You know, I didn't understand it, but now I think I do.
That's part of the ugliness of it, because they attach themselves to this social group, in this case a classroom.
Right.
And your child is made the other, the exception,
Yeah.
the oddball, and has to bear the weight of that.
I think she's lucky because she has 4 or 5 of her friends who are also getting up and walking out of the classrooms.
That is lucky.
So that is helping her. But we didn't understand that response, and I think now as I look into this more, there's this larger thing going on behind the scenes that I doubt even her principal understands what he was saying to me when he said that.
It's so perfectly connected these days that
Yeah.
it's very hard for people to even see any space between political democracy and market choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The market rules. It is democracy.
We have a victory already. You don't have to wait until there's no more Channel 1. I think there's about 4 million kids who don't have Channel 1 in their lives anymore, and their siblings coming up don't have it in their lives. That's a great success.
Let's think
When a Channel 1 equivalent was proposed in Canada a few years ago, it was stifled by outraged parents and teachers before it could get off the ground. While marketers saw it as a powerful tool, Canadians with kids in schools saw it as an insidious intrusion. But even the most active parent groups would have difficulty detecting the slick marketing tricks they're planning here. At an advertising industry conference in Toronto, marketers have gathered to discover the latest trends in getting their products into the minds and hearts of the iPod generation.
I don't know.
One of the major attractions here is advertising guru Chip Walker from BBDO, the third largest advertising agency in the world.
Teen culture, in fact, has never been more important just because it's such a large group now, over 1 billion teens worldwide. A lot of them have their own money, they have their own cell phones, they have their own technology, they have their own media and websites.
They also have their own activists. Carly Stasko, in training to be a school teacher, has arrived outside the conference with her own particular commercial message.
And I'm an expert on marketing to young people. You've got some awesome young people here. I mean, I bet you the cool hunters are going crazy over you guys right now, trying to take pictures of you and put it on their website so they can sell your brand as cool and get you to sell it right back to you. But I'll tell you, you know who wants to understand youth? You know who really wants to understand youth? Not your parents, not your teachers, not your politicians, marketers.
Well, historically, marketers have thought about positioning their brand and sort of blasting their message as loud as they could in order to sort of gain a quote-unquote real estate inside your brain. So we've always sort of called that marketing warfare, and it's the way a lot of marketers, including myself, were trained in business school. It appears with this generation that that is not going to work. They have a highly developed capability of tuning messages out.
What marketers have had to do is find audiences that can't switch the channel, that can't go to a different website, that can't walk away or can't roll their eyes. And so what they do is they get kids to market to each other, or they have it integrated in their school learning experience, so that it's totally integrated into their lives.
Today, we're thinking about something we call engagement. It means I try to involve you in my brand, maybe only once, but in a way that's meaningful and interesting to you. Having that experience is worth seeing 55 television commercials.
Everybody wins. So everybody.
But if the conference had come up with a way to connect with youth, they weren't exactly ready to share it with Carly Stasko.
I am going to go with my own people because you guys just don't get it. I'm sorry.
Are you registered?
Yes.
Do you have your badge?
Yes.
That's not a badge.
Yes.
No.
Standing under you?
No.
Standing under you, shaking them upside down, getting all the change from their pockets.
Is that what you're doing?
Well, that's what I thought you guys were doing. Okay. So yeah, denial. That's what I'll try. I'll try denial. Maybe that'll help me with my problems, my ethical problems. I don't have a problem. I'm cool with it. And take care, guys. Keep up the good work. Hey, how's it going? Oh man, I'm having a bad business day. Yeah, I just tried my business pitch and it didn't really work very well.
How's that make you feel?
Made me feel pretty shitty.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
So what are you going to do about it?
Well, I'll just keep selling.
I think that there is a way to connect with kids in schools, but I think it's much more by a soft sell than a hard sell. If a company is able to help a school with equipment or a program or something that betters the student body population, if kids know that a company cared enough to do that, that in and of itself, I think, will enhance the brand.
Good morning, boys and girls.
Enhancing the brand is what we're doing here.
We will do the rest of our fitness test.
Does anybody remember back to when I was first telling you what our school can get for doing this testing? Can't remember? Think on it for a minute. Kevin?
Exercise.
Well, of course. That is a really important thing. Austin?
For the, for money?
Yeah, good for you. We can earn some money for our school that we can use to buy more PE equipment. So, how can we use it? Well, I believe that
Where'd you get the money?
Money is coming from the Go Active Fitness program.
and there is a sponsor that is working with these people, and it's somebody you know pretty well, actually. McDonald's. Yeah, McDonald's is sponsoring this.
You know what I would do if I was a fast food company?
What would you do?
I would promote exercise. And I would go all around the country, and I would go to schools, and I would tell kids to exercise. And everybody would think that I was such a great little fast food company. And I would just tell people to exercise, exercise, exercise. And I would distract them from thinking about eating all of the junk I was selling.
A couple of decades ago, school children across the country had their egos crushed as they went through the Canada Fitness program. There were sprints and jumping and chin-ups and medals handed out to recognize your level of fitness. Gold, silver, and lots of bronze. The government no longer runs that program, but now McDonald's has generously stepped in and offered schools the chance to win $200 worth of free gym equipment in what it calls its Go Active Fitness Challenge. It's a marketing partnership between the Hamburger Corporation and the Canadian Olympic Committee. And as a piece of advertising, it's all very subtle.
You have to look really hard to see those logos. I wonder why they're there. I mean, if they're so little, they're so tasteful, they're so innocuous, couldn't they just not be there?
I do think that businesses have a responsibility to the community, and by providing opportunities for kids, what they're doing is they're fulfilling their responsibility. So it's not an opportunity to advertise.
It's either altruism or it's marketing. Which is it?
We're going to get new equipment and stuff, and the McDonald's people are going to give us money.
Good. Stop.
I think the fact that they are providing monies to purchase equipment, which is going to help in the development of activity levels, is a good thing. I think if the incentive had been free food, I think I probably would not have participated.
One of the problems in schools now is that there isn't enough gym space and there isn't enough gym equipment. So the problem is we need the equipment. And so this is going to be very tempting for teachers in schools. You really can't turn down, in lots of ways, $200 worth of gym equipment for students. On the other hand, why is McDonald's doing this?
Ron Christensen is the head of corporate communications for McDonald's Canada.
The thing with us is that we have always been involved in sport and developing programs for youth.
Mr. Christensen is anxious to promote the Fitness Challenge and the new healthy treats now available at McDonald's, with or without fries.
Can I get some apple slices, please? That's the goal, is just to have them focus on the physical activity. Again, it's not about food. It's about activity. It's about the what I do part as opposed to the what I eat part.
It's contradicting what they say. Supersize this, but then score a goal. You know, so
it's terribly ironic that a company like McDonald's, which sells wholly unhealthy food, would want to get behind something like a sporting event.
I guess it's sort of nice to think for a second that McDonald's would be really caring about your children's well-being, but I think it's just sort of a PR thing, that they're just trying to keep their image nice.
Tell me, what is your most popular food item?
The Big Mac. The Big Mac is our most popular food item.
How long do you think it'll take for apple slices to catch up?
It's hard to say.
Back in Surrey, BC, McDonald's has returned to Royal Heights Elementary, this time to host an Olympic Day run.
When we're looking at the school as being a potential marketing environment, I mean, you are looking at an institution that is highly respected in the community, people feel close to. You're looking at an institution that has mandatory attendance laws, so if you want to target kids up to the age of 16, you know where they're going to be for 10 months of the year, 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, they're in school.
Good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful day today. Boys and girls, We are about to head into the gym for our very special assembly.
Between 1990 and 2000, 10 years, advertising to children in North America has gone from $100 million to $2 billion.
Very young children can't distinguish between a commercial and a program. And until the age of 8, children can't understand persuasive intent. They can't understand the fundamental basis of advertising. So how is it that they can defend against it?
That's what this is all about. It's all about fitness. Okay, put your hands down.
It's completely naive, to my opinion, to believe that a child, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, even bright child, very well educated about marketing, is strong enough to resist the influence of experts, PhDs in psychology, who use their knowledge, sold their knowledge to a marketing company, and this marketing company is trying to influence the kid, and the kid will be able to resist that. That's uneven. That's unfair.
My name is Chris Stenell. I'm from McDonald's Canada, and again, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here.
No marketing ploy is left unturned to connect the Hamburger Corporation to a healthy lifestyle. Ronald McDonald appears to have been replaced by a national hero.
Lit from the sun. Here she is, the best athlete in the world, Cindy Klassen.
And this time, all the medals are gold.
So great, let's have a big round of applause.
Marketing is a factor in so many of the problems that children face today. It's a factor in childhood obesity, eating disorders. It's a factor in youth violence. It's a major factor in the acquisition of materialistic values, the false notion that things will make us happy. So given that we know that marketing is a factor in all of those problems, what is the moral, social, ethical justification for marketing to children?
Well, when I was a little kid, I lived in Manitoba, and I went to a one-room country school. The only kind of corporate influence I can remember was that the map that rolled down at the front of the classroom, the map of the world, had little chocolate bars all around the edge. I didn't see any other branding when I was a little kid in school, apart from those little chocolate bars on the map, which might have been the beginning of a slippery slope.
Well, I've been studying commercialism in schools for over 20 years. The mid-1980s is when I began to look at it in some systematic way and discovered there was an enormous amount of so-called sponsored materials in schools. They brought me boxes full of it. Sponsored educational materials, they are free. And they come in more or less hidden. Many times they're mailed directly to teachers. Many times they go into classrooms and schools in violation of school board policy. But nobody knows how to stop it.
Well, I think that inevitably an industry is going to have a bias.
And it doesn't matter if it's the pork board that wants our children to know that pork is the other white meat. It doesn't matter if it's the Plastic Bag Association that wants our children to know that plastic bags are not more harmful to the environment than paper bags. It really doesn't matter what industry it is. They all want to do the same thing, and that is present a story and an image of themselves with something good rather than something bad.
So have you guys done this run before?
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah? Does it go around the school?
Ready, set, go!
In all species, children, babies are protected against predators. How come within our own species, we allow some people to use knowledge in psychology and use this knowledge to heal people and use it to abuse them? That's horrible. That's antisocial. It's not loving children. It's abusing them to make them wish this product.
It's never been harder to be a parent than it is today because children are growing up in a commercial culture that is toxic for them. I mean, sometimes parents don't even know the kind of marketing that's going on in schools.
With the McDonald's fitness program, there will be money for new gym equipment and free apple slices for the kids. But this doesn't solve the funding needs for every community. And with government cutbacks to education continuing across North America, some parents are even prepared to spill their blood to get their children a teacher. Back in Eugene, Oregon, the parents in this working-class neighborhood were faced with a bigger dilemma than getting a few dollars worth of gym equipment. They needed to raise $70,000 to keep their school operating. In this neighborhood, there were no state banks to buy a science lab, no companies willing to pay for a plaque on the wall, and no hardware giants ready to build a playground. So the parents decided to try and raise the money they needed by selling their blood plasma at the local medical clinic.
Hi. We are second or third poorest school in the district. I mean, it's not like you're talking families who have a lot of economic resources.
We'll just have you rest your arm right there. So you want to sit or lie down?
In honesty, I get real nervous about this.
And
I don't like doing it.
Arm.
The process of getting plasma takes almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because you take it all out and then you put it back on. They spin it around and then they put it all back in.
It takes the red cells out and the white cells out, and it puts the plasma back into your body. Okay, let's see what we're doing here. Some people think it's rather strange to get paid for donating blood or donating plasma, but since they do pay for it, I think it's a great way of giving to the school. It's probably better than a bake sale.
Only 20 parents finally qualified to sell their blood and plasma. They couldn't raise the money they needed, and there was no corporate interest in supporting them. They raised only $1,500, and their school was closed.
I've got young kids in school, and every year it was something less, something less, something less. And you keep doing more.
At Sullivan Heights High School in Surrey, British Columbia, there was no need to sell blood. What some people said they sold instead was their soul.
Well, this is the Bell Performing Arts Center, and of course Bell is figured pretty prominently on the school. You know, if there's a line, we haven't crossed it. If there's a threshold, we're not there yet. That we're still pretty much in the comfort zone of being able to carry on our business as usual.
As far as the rationalizing, well, there's an expression that we use called the race to the bottom. Do we want to participate in the race to the bottom? I'm not seeing how over-commercialization is improving public education.
I think we do have to say, here's the line. It's not a public space if corporations are all competing in it for the attention of future consumers or current consumers.
Because it soon won't be public education.
In British Columbia, the day ends in graduation. In Kitchener, Ontario, with a new playground and a whole bunch of serious questions about how schools in North America have become corporate targets. Not everyone is accepting this new reality. In Sweden, Norway, and Greece, there's now legislation protecting kids from advertising. In the US, 5 states recently banned junk food in schools. And Quebec has outlawed advertising to children under 13. But until education is funded sufficiently by public funds, the corporatization of education is an ongoing marketing strategy, which isn't going away.
So, what's the big deal?
Audrey, what's the purpose of education?
The purpose of education is to teach kids to be good consumers. Bye, 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 bye.
That's Global Currents. To have your say and for more information on this documentary, visit globaltv.com, search word Global Currents. I'm Kevin Newman. Thanks for watching.